from sunny Southern California. This is the podcast from the International Broadcast Headquarters and AbelJosephson.com. Here now is your host, Abel Josephson.
It is the business of coming into the knowledge of who and what we are. And we come into this knowledge as we speak, and speaking is the only way that this knowledge is conveyed to who and what we are. We came into this knowledge as we began to speak who and what we are in our own eyes, and our will is being done. We're announcing the divine and the glorious, the perfect, the innocent. We're re-diagnosing everything that we thought we were and everything that we thought we did. We're re-diagnosing it. We're calling it a new thing. Everything is being brought before us now to see what we would call it. And we pick and choose. Our will is being done, and the kingdom, the king with the domain that we are, who we are, is appearing in the mirror before us. We are the lawyers, we are the jury, we are the plaintiff, we are the defendant, and we are the judge of it all. We have come to the day of judgment. Our eyes are both open now, and together they cause us to see from one single eye. We are the very courtroom, we are the inner court where the proceedings or the establishing of our lives in truth takes place. It's us, it's all us, and it's all born from what we speak. The Word is God. We are found now innocent of all wrongdoing. Everything is perfect. What we went through, what we were under, what we believed, we had to go through that. There was no other way. We had to start scratch bottom. We had to start at the scratch bottom, the very bottom, at the lowest common denominator. We speak, and in this word comes the knowledge of the truth. But we marvel not that we are innocent. We marvel not that devils obey us. We marvel that what we speak ordains and presents the substance of what we have spoken. What we speak produces this innocence. There is no devil in the language we speak now. There is no accusation of ourselves. There is no Satan in the language we speak now. There is no adversary to who and what we are. That devil, that Satan, has been cast out. We marvel at the power of any word that we speak to heal and deliver the world within us. We are life, and we are life itself. Christ is our life, and there is no sin in the body of the Christ that we are. Genesis chapter 1 is not an explanation of how the world was created. Now, I thought that for years, so did you. If you'll look at it, actually, the creation has come and gone. It's there. What happens is there's an excavation, there's an examination of what we have done when we said, let there be heaven and earth. God, the Word, produced whatever heaven is. God, the Word, produced whatever earth is. Heaven and earth. And you see these two given different names all throughout that Dusty Family Bible book. It's so simple. It's so clear as to what's going on and what it's about. It's so clear that when you look at it, you see right through it and cannot see it. So you must change the angle by which you look at it from. You must see it from an angle so you can see the light reflect off the object that you are viewing. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Well, there you go. That's it. Period. The end. That is the creation. In the beginning, what was spoken created something called heaven, that's one side, and something called earth, that's the other side. These are the two. That's it. Period. That is the creation story. Now we're going to look at the creation because there's a problem in the creation. It's not wrong that there is a problem. There seems to be a conflict. There's something we can't see that is troubling us, and that is the story of your life. It's the story of my life. Everything's great, except I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Something is wrong. So therefore, we came into the deception. Well, we must have done something wrong. No. No. Squeaker. Oh, baby. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. There you go. That's it. That's the creation. The creation is over. And everything that happens after Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, everything that happens after God created the heaven and the earth, it only serves to explain what was created. And what was created, a big fat contradiction, a big fat collision, a problem within us that we couldn't see. Something's wrong. We don't, I'm seeking the truth. About what? About me and what is wrong with me. But we don't see that. We seem to think that because there seems to be something wrong in me or you or us, well, we have to look outside of who and what we are to find the truth. That's not true. You will know the truth about you. And when you know, bing, game over. Game over. That's it. It's over. We're made free by the truth. We understand what the hitch in the get-along was, as they say down there in that Texas way. The entire Dusty Family Bible book is a spiritual, architectural blueprint of who you are, how you are assembled, and how you operate. The creation, detailed in the beginning of the Bible, is the creation of judgment. It is not the creation of the sun, moon, and stars. If you want to know about that creation, go to the library and seek out a natural history book. That information is not in the Dusty Family Bible book. Anyone with a microscope or telescope can see what is in that creation. That is not your concern. You must now enter into a forensic exploration of a world that holds both seen and unseen items of interest. Seen and unseen. There are things about you know. Things about you that can't seem to figure out. So we're going to excavate what has been created, and that's Genesis chapter 1. The first chapter of the book of Genesis is the beginning exploration of the excavation of what is in you. But it only pertains, listen. Oh, Miami, listen. It only pertains to the unknown. Genesis chapter 1 is only about finding out about something that cannot be seen yet. That's why it's so beautiful. That's been your whole life. What is wrong with me? What is it I don't know? There's something missing. I have a blind spot. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just don't realize what you're looking at many times. Genesis chapter 1 concerns itself with the unseen, what you can't see, what you haven't figured out, and I will show you. I am beautiful that way. And what is it that cannot be seen? The earth. The earth. What is the earth? How many times have you seen those books at the Christian bookstore? I saw heaven. And they talk about how Jesus took them on a tour of heaven. There were flowers with really bright colors and children. Aunt Mickey and Uncle Ralph, they were there to meet me. Nobody writes a book about I have seen the earth and Jesus took me on a tour of the earth. They got it all backwards, baby. Heaven is not the part that is unseen. Heaven is known. It's known already. And everything that we've been taught is exactly a mirror opposite of the truth. Heaven is known, is seen already, and it is understood. But it is this earth that is so elusive, mysterious, void without form, can't figure it out, can't put a finger on it. And we're going to now unveil the earth within us. We are going to see what it can do on its own, what it's about, what it's up to. We are going to quarantine the earth and let it bring forth whatever it brings forth. I'll show you. Let it produce whatever fruit it produces, and let's learn about it. Because heretofore, we don't know, even though it's a part of the creation that we have brought forth within us. There is a hidden secret about let me just go back real quick. When you came into this life, heaven and earth were already in you. And when you woke up here, you woke up with the same issue that you had before you came here. Now, I didn't always teach that, but boy, I do now. There's a hidden secret about the heaven within you that you are. The heaven you are cannot stand the earth. That's the hidden secret. Did you know that? Sounds, what? Heaven can't stand the earth? You're damn right. That's the problem. The hidden secret about heaven is that it can't stand the earth. It cannot stand the earth that you are. Can't stand it at all. The heaven you are wants heaven and earth kept separate, and if possible, cast out totally. And you do yourself a favor in that dusty family Bible book to realize it's a mirror, and everything is just the opposite in the mirror of what it is in the reality that you know looking into it. And everything in the mirror is exactly opposite to the reality that you have known. Cowboys in the white hats are not always the good guys, baby. Cowboys in the black hats, not always the bad guys. The Indians are your best friends, it turns out, and the cowboys are the thieves and the savages, many times. How many ridiculous books have been written? I saw heaven. You haven't seen anything if you don't think you can see heaven. Heaven's the easy part. Don't you read the Bible? These are those that think Earth is a place, a planet. It is not. It's not a location, nor is heaven. It is a region. This earth is a region of darkness within you. That's what it says in the book of John. We're going to take this gospel into the regions of darkness. And these regions must be excavated by you. In Genesis chapter 1, heaven is not explored at all. Earth is explored. Earth is revealed. It had to be for you to have this issue so you can get your balance, so you can understand, and so you can solve the riddle. Earth is the part of you you don't understand. Not heaven. Earth was void and without form. Heaven was fine. Nothing is said about heaven. It's earth. The way a small child, a young boy, grows and learns many times is through exploration of what is already given to him. The child does not invent, he explores what is given to him, what has been already invented. A young boy loves to take apart the family lawnmower or the family stereo or the radio everybody wants to throw away because it's old and beat up. He wants to crack it open, take it all apart, and find out what's in it. Methodically, he wants to understand how something works. He does not invent the combustion engine. He does not invent the wheels or the handles or the cables that control it. He does not invent the art and the craft of mining metals in order to smelt, shape, and craft and mold metals. Nor does he invent plastics. The child takes what exists and what is present. He dismantles it, breaks it apart, and studies each part and its design. Genesis chapter 1 is an autopsy on the world within us called the earth. Heaven is a world within us called heaven. But Genesis chapter 1 doesn't bother with heaven. It's the earth that cannot be seen. It's void and without form. Can't make it out. Can't see it there in the darkness. Genesis chapter 1 is no different than the lawnmower taken apart by the boy. They're already there, already created. They give him a lawnmower, and in his curiosity, the little boy is bothered because he's curious. He doesn't know. How does it work? It works fine. But how does it work? And whatever heaven and earth are has been brought forth by an invisible force called God, there in verse 1. And the Word is God, as we know from John chapter 1, verse 1. Interesting how those go together, 1:1. A mysterious invisible force called speech and speaking from a living heart. It has amazing power to produce worlds within us. And there are two worlds to consider, heaven and earth. That's the first name they're given. Heaven and earth. Heaven and whatever that is, and earth and whatever that is. Heaven and earth are already created. So why do we believe that Genesis chapter 1 is the story of how the sun, moon, stars, rocks, rivers, animal kingdom, and people are created? It is because we see the word created mentioned. Yeah, we do. But we miss when the creation of all things actually happens. I wish the Bible would skip the secret parable codes and just come out plainly and say what it is. But it doesn't. And it doesn't because it requires you to find the question first, and then it requires you to mine the mountain for the gold and the treasure. In the beginning, I wish it said this. In the beginning, I wish the Bible said it this way. In the beginning, I wish it was this clear. In the beginning, I said stuff that made me happy, and I said stuff that made me sad. Wouldn't it be great? Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, I said stuff that made me happy. I said stuff that also made me sad. Now let me look at that sadness and see what caused it. What fruit comes from it, and discover its beauty in a moment when I don't like sadness. Let me see the beauty in the sadness. This is Genesis chapter 1. And this is your challenge in life. I wish it was so easy. I'm happy because I've said things that cheered me up. I'm sad because I said stuff that bummed me out. That's all it means. That's all it's saying. What people miss is what God does with the creation. The Word, or the God that created the creation, then begins to discern the thoughts and the intents inside the creation that was created that cannot be seen. He will see them. He will let them flourish until he sees what they can do. Watch, and I'll show you what this means. Then you'll start to understand stuff like, let the tares grow with the wheat. Why? So you can see the tares and the wheat, so you can see everything and know it for what it is. All right, then we'll do something with the tares maybe. But they have to grow together. Heaven and earth have to coexist. But I'm telling you again, heaven does not want earth involved in the program. First, God must explore what is not seen. Not seen. And this is what the words from your mouth are. See, everybody knows why they're happy. But then we find this, why am I still not satisfied? Why is still something wrong? I still have a yearning, a burning, a curiosity, something that doesn't seem to be resolved. See, that is what earth is. That part of you is the earth. And so what you speak and say explores what is not seen. And this is what the word from your mouth is supposed to do. You're supposed to say things, and this knowledge that comes from what you say, it causes you to discern, to discover intentions within that part that cannot be seen. You verbalize it. You talk about it. The area within you called earth is not known nor seen by you. We all start out that way. Oh, this is great. So much good is going on, but I always feel unfulfilled, yet nonetheless. That's earth. That's our dilemma. There's no problem with the heaven within you. Earth is void and without form. The first chapter of Genesis is about the discovery of what was created, specifically that which is called earth. It is right there to be seen, but man is deceived. They think heaven is the mysterious place. No, it is fulfilled. It is with shape and form. Every word in Genesis chapter 1 pertains to a spiritual world within each of us. We get a little cattywampus when we overlook that heaven and earth are both created by what is spoken, what is said, God said. Spiritual can only be created by spiritual. This is in the mind where all these things happen. Jesus said, my words are spirit and are life. Spirit and life to what? Two worlds, two extremes. Two that were born as brothers, as neighbors in the world that you live in the neighborhood that you are. And they have a father. That's the third one. And I'm not going to get into the father on this round. I'm going to talk about the two sons, the two brothers, the two understandings that have been birthed and are alive and walking around on the streets of your city. Words you speak about yourself are the way to what you think about yourself. They are the truth to your own mind, and they are the life that you will live out on the inside. The reality you will walk by will be judged by you. Your words decide all of these things. You are awake to this, or you are asleep to this. But you're not wrong for being asleep. That's what earth does. We fear what we do not know. That's a common knowledge. You've heard that. So one brother, one neighbor within us, brought forth by the same father, they must discover the other brother, the other neighbor, and find a way to make peace. But they cannot make peace of themselves. A father must speak to manage and govern these two brothers, these two worlds that are totally opposite people, so to speak. And they're in the same house with the Father that brought them forth. The Word is the discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart, and the first chapter of Genesis displays the surgery that goes on, so that what was created may be discerned, and the intents behind the creation may also be found and known. So we'll just consult the Dusty Family Dictionary. In short, Genesis, the first book in the Bible, book Genesis or Genesis, or the generation, defined as the origin or mode of formation of something. The origin, what formed the creation, is most important, more important than anything else. Because once you know what forms a creation, you can form any creation you want. You can re-diagnose and rebuild, tear down and rebuild the original creation. Genesis, the origin or mode of formation of something. The origin or the mode. So the Genesis shows you what created something. Everybody's looking at the creation. They're in love with the creation more than the creator. That's what that means. They love the creation more than the creator. The object is to come to find out what makes me happy and what makes me sad. So by definition, the genesis of creation will expose what the origin of creation is and what was generated or formed in the creation. And what is formed and created will be judged by you and how you think and feel about you. The genesis of this is words that you speak when you talk about you. It's not what goes into a man, it's what comes out of him that defiles him. It's what you say. It's not what somebody else says about you. Grow up. Pull up your big girl panties. It's the mirror opposite of what you have believed. We think we have thoughts and they determine who we are and what we speak. No, we don't speak based on thoughts. No, we speak and this gives us thoughts and understandings that are born. And so therefore, our thought life comes from what we speak. Our judgments come from what we speak. Our moods come from what we speak. Our success comes from what we speak. We've had it all backwards. Or at least Tall Boy did, Uncle Abel did, I did. Little Bell. Little Squeak. Genesis is the story of how we created something we like and something we don't like. So let's look at something we don't like and learn to love it. And why not? We created it, but we are not sure what we have done. So let's look inside and examine the earth. Oh, and I'll add to that, yeah, but we have something that's kind of like off kilter and not right and out of balance within us. So I don't really trust me because I kind of go back and forth on the judgment scales of me. Well, that's going to change for you. All right, let's get into it. Let me see if I can drive this home. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So we have earth without form, void, shrouded in a darkness. It's that problem that we can't put a finger on, that we can't see, that goes on inside of us. And the darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. My words are spirit. My words are life. Spirit is the life-giving, the active ingredient of what is known as the power of God that's found in what you speak. So we began to speak and we began to unveil what was going on with this earth. Without form is a phrase that speaks of an area or a region that is a part of you, and it's a part of me, that is obscured from our sight. It's a desert, a worthless thing, a vain confusion, an empty place. Ever feel like you had an empty place that only God could fill? Yeah, only something that you speak can fill that void. It's an empty place. It's a place of waste and a wilderness. Void, what's that mean? To be empty? A vacuum, an undistinguishable ruin. You ever feel like you couldn't distinguish exactly what was going on with you, but something was troubling you? An emptiness? This is stuff that bothers you, and you don't know why. How do you know it's true? That's been your experience. That's why you ever looked into that Dusty Family Bible book. It says of this earth that darkness was on the face of the deep. Darkness, a misery, a destruction, a death, and ignorance. Oh man, lovely stuff, right? Sorrow, wickedness, obscurity, blindness, as withholding light, black, dim, hidden. This is the stuff that bothers you, that you can't pin down. So what is heaven, if this is what earth is? These are two types of people, heaven and earth, that you are. Two types of people that are within us all. Brothers is what they are. Neighbors is what they are. They're both there. And they are in conflict. The nature of the two men that we are is found to be polar opposites. Like the two sons in the story of the prodigal son. Heaven and earth are these two understandings, these two sons that are in one house. And they were both brought forth by God, which is something that is spoken by you, that brings a commandment, that has creative power. There is within us a rich man and a poor man. The one known as earth is the poor man. We worry and hurt so much over this earth. Heaven, happy. Earth, sad. We experience both heaven and earth in our lives. Darkness obscured the face of the depths of the sad man, the poor man, the earth man that we are. Let it be known that the deep is more than a depth that you might measure with a tape measure. The deep, listen to me, the deep is a language, a message, a testimony of who and what He is. The deep is defined as an abyss, a surging mass of water, the main sea or the subterranean water supply. So He has a voice. Why? He has feelings and understandings of His emptiness and His sadness. And they are spoken. That's the only way that they can exist. So He has a voice, and His voice is found described in the definition of the word deep, to make an uproar or agitate greatly, to destroy, to move, to make a noise. That's all verbalization. To ring again. He is the clanging cymbal. This is a human condition. This is not an astrological interplanetary state of natural creation. The deep is a state of mind that's brought on by what is spoken, for God created them. This is a part of you and me with its own soul or feelings, and they are there, but they are under the surface bothering us. And God said, let there be heaven and earth, meaning there was a voice that stated, no, don't let both coexist in peace and harmony. That's why we spend most of our neo-Pentecostal evangelical lives trying to cast out that thing that bothered us, called it a devil. Well, sure, it was a devil. It was a language that accused us. So you're going to speak and expose what is bothering you so you can understand it. That's all Genesis 1 is, so you can give it justice, so it can be heard, to be known, to be set on a throne in equity with heaven. Remember, I will bring equity and justice. Once heaven knew earth, heaven and earth could see each other face to face. Heaven didn't know earth. You know heaven and earth because you know that there are things within you that you're not sure what they are. But they're bothering you, and you want to cast them out. You want to get rid of them, separate them, but that is not going to get the job done. Once heaven knows earth, heaven and earth could see each other face to face, could understand each other. Heaven would not fear the limitations of the earth, and eventually the earth would not be intimidated by the expanse and limitless possibilities and happiness of heaven. Sadness is all the more sad when he realizes he's not happy. And happy is made sad when he realizes not everything going on here is happy. And they both repel each other. But that gets fixed in the mix, as we say in the recording industry. God is, or what we speak is, the genesis or the generation of heaven and earth. Our happiness and our sadness. He is the creator of the happy man and the sad man, the man who can be seen, the man who cannot be seen. So heaven is something that was with form and was seen and known, with form, fulfilled, which is the exact opposite of the earthly condition. So that's why you get rich man, poor man, and that's how you get all those parables in the Gospels. There was a rich man and a poor man. Remember Luke 18, there's a good one. 2 men went up into the temple to pray. Who's the 2 men? Heaven and earth. But now they're called a Pharisee, and the other is called a publican. Heaven and earth. The Pharisee stood and prayed, and he prayed this way with himself. God, I thank you that I am not as the other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this nasty publican. Why is one a publican? A publican assesses taxes on the rich man. As one part of you makes demands for treasure to be given to it from the other that has the treasure initially. You are both of those. These are the 2 thieves because the poor man wants treasure from the rich man. He wants to take it from him so he may have it also. The rich man will not give the poor man the treasure, and in this steals his value from him. 2 thieves. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a publican. That's the relationship between heaven and earth. The Pharisee stood and prayed, I thank you, I'm not like this nasty tax collector who's always bothering me. All of these parables are given to assist us in helping the heaven and the earth within us to learn and accept both as one person that we are. The earth is the one that we are, that we don't understand. So he's void and without form. So we must now separate the parts so we can understand the parts. We're not creating, remember, we're exploring and excavating. That's what you've done all your life, except you explored and excavated in a totally external world, never dreaming that the answer was within you when it is. God said, let there be light. Here we go now. Here comes God. Here comes what is spoken. This is you sitting down on the curb in the sunshine with 31 flavors and talking it through with yourself to break it apart. Let's see what I know and let's see what I don't know. God said, let there be light, and there was light, illumination, or in every sense, happiness, brightness, and clarity. And God saw the light, that it was good. Oh, we love to know what's going on. And God divided the light from the darkness. This is the excavation, the separation of two things that are one thing initially. We're going to break them apart so we can see both sides, see what's sitting on the scales of judgment. God divided the light from the darkness. He separated the bright happiness and clarity. He separated these from the misery, the destruction, the death, the ignorance, the darkness, the sorrow, the sadness, the wickedness, and the secrecy that was within us, the obscurity. This is not creating. This is being honest about what has been created. But he doesn't understand one of the two, the poor man, this man, the earth. It is obscured from the sight. He can't see what's bothering him, but he created them. And he needs to be brought forth, this earth, so he can be understood. His voice needs to be heard. Just as a father knows his children and understands them, just as when you have a problem and you can't put a finger on why you are bothered inside, you sit them down and say, well, tell me what's going on with you, right? You do that with your children. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So he's calling them something different. Why is he calling them day and night? Because that's how drastically different these two people are that make up who you are. He called the light day, and he called the darkness night. The day is heaven, and the earth is now called night. He is separating and calling each by new names to bring clarity. You're like all sunshine, and you're like all dark. Wow, let's see what we can learn from that. The Father that brought forth both images of himself, both sons, both understandings, a rich man and a poor man, and you did that. I did that. He names his children a name that announces what each is all about. What do you do with your children? I name you, Sir Brian, because Brian means great conqueror, or whatever. That's why we are like that. He gives them a name. A name that depicts what they're all about, day and night. Why? Because he's coming to an understanding of what heaven and earth are. Oh, you know what? I'm going to call you light because that's what you're about. And I'm going to call you night because that's what you're all about. Day and night. This is the excavation. This is not creation. This is the taking apart of the lawnmower to see what's going on inside of the mower. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. We do not see creation of the waters in the firmament. They already exist. We see them being dismantled, just like you must dismantle the connective tissue that joins how you feel to what you have spoken that causes the feelings. Divide and conquer. That's all that's going on as this world is trying to figure out what exactly is missing here. He's looking into what is within and separating the two so he can discover the source of what makes the two, what makes them tick. But that mystery is not going to be resolved until the end of the Bible. But in the meantime, we're going to see the relationship between heaven and earth all through that Bible. And then we're going to figure out why they're there, and that's the revelation or the mystery of God. Oh, we are sad because of what we say about ourselves. We're happy because of what we say. Oh, then it no longer becomes about happy or sad. It becomes, oh my God, what I say is life and death to whatever I am inside. He wants to discover the source. But this interest is in the unseen man, the poor man, this earth that is veiled off, that is obscure, that is in secrecy, that is unseen. Remember, he is before all things seen and unseen. This is not creation. That's already happened. This is one who speaks, dividing and conquering, discerning and discovering the true intentions behind what has been created. So he decides to break things apart even deeper. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Dividing the waters from the waters. So something is inserted between the two sides, a divider between the rich man and the poor man, that you are in truth. As one man, you are these two things as one man. They both share your voice. There would be no need to separate and examine anything unless it was all balled up together to begin with. It's all one thing. But there's a trouble inside that can't be found. Let's split it in half and put what we know is this on that side and what we know is that over here. Those are the scales of judgment. You got to see both sides to understand the truth. You'll know the truth, and it'll make you free when you get there. When it's all balled up together, we don't know what the problem is, so we divide and separate and begin to identify the two parts that make us who and what we are as a person. And this is all that the Bible is about. It's not about anything else. And the big picture is what got us here? What's the source? He says, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. I will explain the firmament in a moment. First, I want to comment on the waters and to teach you the code book that the Bible is. Any mention of waters, dew, rain, floods, flooding, drink, wine, any liquid mentioned in Scripture, the big picture is it's the understanding. It's the present understanding, the flowing of knowledge, the essence of understanding. When it says there are 4 rivers that came out of the center of the garden, one went north and one went south, those are 4 different intellects, 4 different understandings that feed 4 different parts of you. Any mention of waters, dew, rain, liquids, whatever, it's all about knowledge and understanding. So there it is again. This is not creation. It is the examination of the creation only. And we know now that there are 2 that make up one world within. And we're dividing the understanding of what this one is from the understanding of what that one is. Heaven and earth, the rich man, the poor man. They begin conjoined together. One mass, one ball of wax, so to speak. We must take the 2 and separate them. We must divide soul and spirit. Divide how we feel and look at what we have spoken to see how what we have spoken has determined how that one feels heaven, how that one feels earth. And in this we find the source of the 2. When 2 brothers are in a fight, they must be what? Separated, sent to different corners for questioning to discover why they're in a conflict. So it's by what he speaks that he divides these 2. Why? God made the firmament, and the Word is God. So he speaks, I want to separate these 2 things so I can see them for what they are. That's how he made the firmament, divided the understanding of this guy from the understanding of that guy, separating them from one into 2. And then you'll see at the end of the book, when 2 were made one, peace is made with the Father. Who is the Father? You. God made the firmament and divided the waters which are under the firmament from the waters which are above the firmament, and so it was so. Why? He spoke. Firmament, let me just show you that real quick. Firmament is a tool, right? The tool is used to beat something down into a flat sheet. The firmament is a crowbar. It's a pounder. It's going to be used to do this separation. And what is the firmament? This crowbar, this tool for beating things down to sheets of metal, thin sheets. The only thing that is any tool at any level in the Spirit is words that are spoken. So by God or by what we speak, we are able to literally, listen, beat these 2, heaven and earth, rich man, poor man, beat them apart. Beat them apart. Bring a hammer. Bring a divider. Drive a wedge between the 2 and keep them apart so they have their own identity, because we have to see their identity. That was the purpose of all this. We need this separation of identity so we can understand who and what they are and why they are like what they are like, so we can have what? Peace. Because then we'll understand, I'm like, I do that, that's what, and how'd that come about? I said, I spoke, The earth and all that it was hidden, shrouded over, so it must be set free and allowed to speak and say and have its own conversation. And And this conversation needs to be understood. See, heaven didn't have that problem. Earth had that problem. It was not seen or understood. It had no justice or equity in the conversation. Why? I'll tell you why. Earth smothered it to death. Stuffed it down, just like we did our problems. It needs to have its own fish and living things. It has to be unveiled. Earth needs to be understood, made free, to have its own living creatures, its own words and languages. You see the tending of the earth and the tilling of this earth continually throughout the scripture when it talks about the vineyards and the fields. Earth is being given justice, unveiled for what it is, and the source of its fruit to be allowed now to flourish and be known. And this becomes more evident as the work continues. After the firmament is put between the two of heaven and earth. The firmament is a governing power. And the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and the joints and the marrow. It is a discerner of the intents and the thoughts of the heart. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight. But all things are naked and open under the eyes of him to whom we have to do. The heaven is a living creature, a child of creative power known as God. Happy guy is produced by happy words. And yes, the earth was a living creature, a child of the creative power known as God. Sad words brought forth a sad guy. What you speak fathers treasures within you. What you speak gives birth to the rich man that you are. What you speak gives birth to the impoverished and the poor man that you are. There is one God, one word, one voice, one tongue, one Father of us all. One tongue does both of these. And it comes about in simple everyday stuff. Well, we all make mistakes. Well, you just judged yourself in your own eyes as a flawed piece of broken whatever, undone. That's how earth is born. The two understandings had to be separated to be understood. Oh, and by the way, don't worry. Heaven gets its smackdown later, because we're coming to a point where we're even told heaven can't be honest. To speak of our divine beauty, perfection. No, that's pride. Man, we get the screwed down big time in this life. Can't say you're beautiful, can't say you're proud. Have to say you're broken, have to say you're flawed. And in this, we destroy both. It drives earth further down, and it even brings down heaven to earth. But the only way heaven's going to come down is if it bows the knee to earth. It's just a real messed up deal. I don't have time to get into all of it, but I want to. So first we separate the two. Give them justice and equity. Teach them to love their brother inside of us, for we are both of these. The two understandings had to be separated to be understood, and then once understood, they could again be brought back into agreement to be made whole with no accusation, brother to brother. Now it says, and God called the firmament heaven. Well, this is actually the first revelation of what the problem is between heaven and earth. He made the firmament. He knows he did. And the firmament is a hammer that drives a wedge, that pounds things apart. And he calls the firmament heaven. Oh, my God. So he sees the firmament that caused the division between heaven and earth. He made the firmament, and then he called it heaven. Because the heaven is the side that thinks it's right. It's because heaven is the side that wants separation from the earth. The happy man wants the sad man put away from him. So the firmament helps divide, but it brings with it accusation. Let me now explain the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because now maybe you can understand the tree, or the one in you who walks by the knowledge of good and evil. He wants the two, heaven and earth, happy and sad. He wants them known and to be kept separate. And that's the core of the problem of the knowledge of good and evil. That's a guy that says, I'm good, you're evil, you stay over there evil, I'm staying over here, I'm good. And he walks with a continual desire to keep a separation between the two. But that's not the will. The will is that we understand both and that they be brought back together as one. That's being made whole. That's the ministry of reconciling them. That's the ministry of reconciliation. You get it. That's good. This desire to keep the two separate is the essence of our conflict inside. We learn in the end, heaven, the firmament, the wedge maker between the two, learns to accept and love his brother as himself and to be the one that is one with him without condemnation of the brother. You can take that to the bank and consider your investment. How do you know what I've said of these things that it is true? It's true because you know it. It's been your experience within you. It's been the experience within us all. Some see it, some do not. Some are awake, some are asleep. The firmament, the heaven, beats the two apart. Beatings, as a master beats a servant. And who did that? By what was spoken, by the heaven side. So now we see the problem. Remember, he made a firmament and put it in heaven, called it heaven. Heaven is the one that beats the two apart. The knowledge of good and evil. In other words, I want to stay separate. So now we see the problem. We must uncover earth and give him justice and equity to have his own space, to be free to be who and what he is. He is a son or an understanding in a father's house. He's unclean and he's filthy. He gets a place, though. Now you can understand the prodigal son, heaven and earth. That's all it is. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. So there's an understanding about what earth is, but we're going to set that understanding aside. God said, let the waters under heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let's let the dry land appear that earth is. And it was so. Let the understandings that are at the bottom level or below, let them be set aside so as to cause dry land to appear. So earth gets his own land, his own field, his own space to grow his crops. So we can see what he's all about. It's bringing him out of obscurity. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. So now all understanding has been set aside in one half of things, causing dryness in the earth. All the understandings that were about that earth have been set aside and pulled away from it. And it doesn't say this about heaven. Heaven remains and retains its moistures, its waters, its understandings. But the lower parts, underneath the divide, all understanding is removed aside so that that which is without understanding can be known, even seen. So he can plant and grow and flourish and bring his fruits. Because remember, we know there's an understanding of earth. We know there's the poor man, the sad man, but we don't know what the source of that sadness is. So let's take what we know about him, the understandings, the waters, and let's remove them. And let's just, to where it's just dry land, and let's observe what he plants, and let's observe what grows. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass. Here we go. Let the earth bring forth grass, and the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. Let's see what the earth brings forth when he's able to speak and sow seed and bring forth fruits. And his seed is in itself. Let him bring forth the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Let's get the heaven seed separated from the earth seed, and let's see what the earth seed does. So this dry area with all the knowledge separated and pulled out, what we think we know, that's all removed and set aside. It's now caused to be allowed to bring forth something that bears seed, and an entirely new thing will grow and become seeded. The seed will turn to trees, trees will bear fruit, and now an entirely new knowledge will be made available from this dry land, but not until we quarantined earth and removed what we thought earth was or what we thought the problem was. Let's get all that and set it aside, and let's see what he's really producing. And he began to sow and be fruitful and to multiply from the seed that was within him. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, blah, blah, blah. And God said, let there be, and here we go, love your brother, here we go. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Now listen. This is the shining of light. You may or may not see this. I'm just going to bring it out here. This is the shining of light. Brightness, happiness from the heaven to the earth. And this is the shining of light, brightness, happiness from the heaven to the earth. That's what light is. Brightness, happiness, illumination, and let the earth and the heaven provide this light and this brightness and this illumination upon the earth, for the earth. It's the first expression of love from the rich man to the poor man. Signs of love, compassion. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light, illumination, happiness upon the earth. And it was so. And what is this? The manifestation of love thy brother. Shine your light upon him and forsake him not. And how did this come? By what was being spoken. The evidence of mercy for the first time from God. I'm going to care for this earth. I'm going to see what he's all about. Give him equity and justice. Let him bring forth his message. And I'm not going to stop him anymore. Again, dividing and separating is going on in our journey to discover what is going on the inside of us, what makes who and what we are tick. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light. He set these lights. He set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And to rule over the day, and to rule over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God said, oh, this is great. This is good. Because we're getting somewhere. We're understanding as we put this order into place. The ruling over day and over night by the light was the guiding of each through love. Through brightness and clarity and happiness, the greater was going to be made to shine now on what was judged as the lesser. He that is greatest among you is servant of the other. And he that is servant is greatest in the kingdom. We're treated that way anyway. The sun reflects light off the surface of the face of the moon. Why? So the moon can be seen. We want to see. We want to shine light on the earth so he can be seen. Otherwise, he's a black void stone hanging in the night sky that nobody would even know was there unless something shined a light on it so he could be seen, understood. So that the moon may be seen, the greater providing for the lesser. This is all within you. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So there can be a conversation between the two. God created, I'm going to talk about that. Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature. You know what that is? Let him talk. The moving creature that has life is his voice, his word. Give it equity. Give it justice. Let him talk. Let him explain to us who he is. And let his thoughts be free. Let him think what he wants to think so that the fowl may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So we can know what he thinks. Let his birds fly around in our heaven. And God created whales and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly. Remember, waters are just understandings. So earth understands a lot of stuff, but it's been obscure, the message that he could help us with. Let the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw, hey, this is good, this is good, this is good. We're starting to learn something here. So we see the heaven, the day, the rich man. We see him make a way for the earth. And by the way, a whale is not a massive fish. A whale is a powerful speech and speaking, a word full of life, full of information that'll help us understand when he's able to speak. Ever heard of a school of fish? He'll educate us. He'll tell us what his need is. And he's brought forth by the waters, by the understandings that are spoken from his own environment. He's free now to do so. The fowl are the increase in thought and thinking. Fowl of the air is always your thought life. Thoughts fly around our minds all the time like birds. So we see heaven and earth separated, and both are given a chance to breathe and speak and think and flourish, whereas before, earth was obscured, heaven smothered him, stuffed him down inside. So we are making progress here as the poor man gets his equity so he can be understood. Heaven needs him revealed because earth bothers heaven immensely. Right on. And God blessed them, blesses both of them. What is spoken says good earth, what is spoken says good heaven. They're both blessed. The Father blessed both prodigal sons in his house. Not both prodigal sons, but one was prodigal and one was already in the house. He blessed both of them, regardless of what they did, regardless of what they were about. And he said, be fruitful, multiply, both of you. Go, do. Fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Think what you want to think. Be who you are, baby. And God said, let the earth bring forth a living creature after his kind. What's that? His voice is the living creature. Word is life. Let him bring forth the cattle and the creeping thing, the beast of the earth after his kind. Let him bring forth what he brings forth. And it was so. You be earth and be who you are so I can see you and understand you. So I can rest. Because I don't understand you. I don't know what you're doing in the house. You're so different from me. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. What's that mean? We just brought forth what we bring forth. Earth, the sad man, the poor man is allowed to be himself without condemnation for who and what he is. In fact, he's being nourished and helped by the rich man, heaven. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now, I know that somebody will say, well, I want you to explain, what are the cattle? I don't have time to get into all of that. But all of that is a product of what is in his heart and what he speaks of. And if you know that, you know a lot. Let the rich man and the poor man be found in the man. Let both of them be who the man is. Because what is spoken produced the rich man, the happy man. What has been spoken has produced the poor man, the sad man. And let's let man look like these two at the same time, and it be okay. Let the rich man and the poor man be found in the man. Let him look like both of us, and let it be this way. This must be commanded within you. Did you know that? Because before there was a voice that said, do not let there be both in the same place. That conflict is why we're going through all of the things we go through in our life, because they're in conflict. We don't know that we need to know what happy is and sad at the same time, so we can rightfully judge and have mercy, not only upon ourselves, because we relate to both sides, but upon others. So God created the man, what was spoken that created the sad, and what was spoken that created the happy. This is how man is created in the image of what was spoken, in the image of God, and the Word is God. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Now the male and female, I'm not getting into that right now. I got tons of teaching on that. Go knock yourself out. I'm just talking about heaven and earth. To allow the earth is to allow the prodigal son who squandered his treasure. So far, most of what is being detailed is the earth, isn't it? Not heaven. It's the earth we didn't understand. It's the kid that went out and squandered his wealth that comes back to the house. What was he doing here? That we don't understand. But the Father makes us understand. And God said, behold, I've given you, and who's the Father? You fathered both of these, but now you understand when they're both back in your house standing in front of you, and you tell the one that stayed in the house, dude, did I ever run you off? You got to eat of everything? Why can't he be there? Why does Billy not get invited to the sleepover? Because he wets the bed. And he says to the one that wets the bed, I don't care if you wet the bed, that's a part of life, and you're my son. You are a reflection of part of me. And God said, behold, I've given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. In other words, these things that you are producing, you will feed off of them. And what is the man? The man is both heaven and earth. And what he speaks is what he will feed on. It is in his nourishment, and he shall have whatsoever he says. And that's true for you. That's why you have happiness. That's why you have sadness. You feed yourself that stuff. And when you realize what you feed yourself, your children will change. Your children will change. Every bit of this is pertaining to words and what they produce in your mind. Every bit of this is about words and what they produce, when as seeds they are sown on the inside of you in the field of your mind. And God saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very good. Everything was good. Not one side more important than the other. We need both so that we have mercy and understanding. This is how judgment is created, when you can see both and you don't shame either side. When one doesn't destroy the other side, you have to be able to see from two eyes. And then as we see from two eyes, from both points of view, we can judge. God, the Word is God, saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. There is nothing made that is not made, seen, heaven, nor unseen earth, that is not made by him. Who is he? He is who you are, that you have never seen before. The invisible God, your own voice, and the words that come out of that voice. The Word is God. Your problem was that you did not know yourself. You had two voices, many understandings, and one was poor and one was rich, and you hated poverty. You didn't understand the impoverished regions within you. And without the two extremes, there is no mercy, there is no wisdom. Paul said, I know all things. What did he know? Who was going to win the race at the pony track? No. I know the rich man, I know the poor man. He knew who Saul of Tarsus was. He knew who the Apostle Paul was. And they were the same man. That's why he said the law is holy. Why? He'd come from that thing. But he was preaching that it was not the only way. Can you now understand what Jesus meant when he said, the poor you have with you always?
Subscribe for free and share the podcast from abeljosephson.com.